They're buggy, they're nerdy, they're talking six legs, buzzing on the airwaves with their field note pegs. From beetles to bees, they just can't get enough. Geeking out on bugs, yeah, the nerdy stuff. Not for fame, not for clout, just because they care. It's the Bugcast, boys and girls, science in the air.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the BCE podcast where there's no ifs, ands, or bugs about it. I'm your host, Adam Holt. We've got your co-host here in the house, Chelle Hartzer.
Hey.
And then we have a special guest right here in the house, Andrew Sutherland.
Hey, happy Halloween, everyone.
Happy Halloween. So, Andrew, without further ado, kind of give us that nutshell over, that nutshell version of yourself. You're kind of everything, everywhere, all at once. Tell us about you.
I'm an urban entomologist. I'm an applied researcher and educator. I work for the University of California as part of their cooperative extension service. Also, their statewide integrated pest management program, otherwise known as UC IPM. If you guys can see my shirt, there's a
very
logo
nice,
that's
very nice,
universally recognized. We are the world's largest source of pest management information. Historically, it's been agriculture, and we're providing more and more resources for urban audiences. That includes consumers, but also pest management professionals. So in my job, I work with the pest control industry, government agencies, school districts, vector control districts, housing groups, you name it, and really try to help people who are managing pests as part of their job.
Cool.
Love it. So you go ahead, Chelle.
Oh, I was just going to say, we've how many of these have we done now, Adam? We've recorded about 6, 7 of them.
Yeah, maybe.
Somewhere around there. And it's interesting because all of our guests and all the BCEs that we've had on, we all realized that we didn't get here in a straight line. Like none of us signed up when we were, 3 years old going, yep, I'm going to be an urban entomologist in pest control. So tell us a little bit about your journey into this role.
I mean, it depends on how far you want to go back, Chelle.
All the way, just go.
We got time. It's okay.
Yeah, go.
I grew up in Central Florida, and I was one of those kids who was catching insects, and I even had my first insectary when I was probably 8 or 9 years old. There's a shorthorn grasshopper called the lubber grasshopper in the southeast, kind of yellow, red, black.
They're like big.
Yeah, they get big.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the backyard, we had an old dryer, like a discarded dryer that was just back there in the bushes. And so I turned it into a grasshopper colony, We would catch the nymphs, my brother and I, and we figured out what plants they ate and would just raise humongous quantities of these grasshoppers. I tried to go fishing with them, but the fish don't like them because they have, I guess, some noxious chemicals within their blood, hemolymph. So, going all the way back to, 7, 8 years old, I was interested in all aspects of the natural environment. And I realized that as humans, we are in the middle of it. We're not separate or to the side of nature. We are part of it. I was fascinated by plants, animals, insects, reptiles, amphibians, fish, everything. And, I think I didn't become an entomologist until much later, but what makes an entomologist, right? Do you have to have a degree to be an
These
entomologist?
questions. Yeah.
I entered the kind of life science profession as a teenager, because when I was 15, I wanted to have a job so I could have spending money, and my options were limited to those I could ride my bike to. And so really it was wash dishes at a restaurant, bag groceries at the grocery store, or there was this retail nursery and garden center. And so I started working as a general laborer and what they might call like a carry out boy, where I would, help people load trees and plants into their vehicles. And so that turned into a career in environmental horticulture, which actually started before I finished my undergrad degree. I mean, like you said, there's no straight line. None of this is a straight line. And that's a message for students and young professionals when we mentor them. You shouldn't expect that your life or your career is going to follow a straight path, and that means you have to be flexible and ready to jump at opportunities.
Yeah, otherwise it's boring.
Pardon?
I said otherwise it's boring,
Yeah, we don't want boring
absolutely.
here.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Who wants? You only live once in this body, at least. So let's take advantage while we're here. I ended up becoming a father at 20 years old, which is fairly common in the Deep South. But you know, that changed my life trajectory because I had to drop out of undergrad, and at that time I was a mathematics major. All right, because I wanted to
Cool.
be an actuarial scientist or something boring like that, you know, based on like salary tables that I had seen in some career readiness magazine or whatever. So I dropped out and had to support my young family. And the only real world skills that I had were associated with horticulture at that time. So I entered the landscape horticulture industry in South Florida, where I was living. And that's where I learned about integrated pest management and became really interested in insects and entomology. Took some coursework at the University of Florida at that time. One of the courses was with Bill Kern at the IFAS station down there, and it was a medical and veterinary entomology class. You know,
My
that's the
favorite.
first time I ever saw a bed bug. You know, it was printed. It was a printed image in a book. You know, it wouldn't be till much later that I saw one in the, how would we
In the
say it?
flesh. In the flesh.
Yeah, in the flesh, in the integument.
Mm-hmm.
So at some point there was an extension professional working for UF who would come to the nursery where I worked, and we would do these applied IPM research trials, you know, with different pesticides, even natural enemies. And he said, you need to go to grad school. And so eventually I did finish my undergrad at night. I was doing night school. And
Good
so
for
that was a
you.
horticulture degree. And then I went to grad school. And
All in
so
Florida?
no, so I applied for to 5 different schools, and I got into all of them. And I had some friends who were living in California at that time, Hayward, East Bay, California, and they really wanted us to come out to California, and we did come to visit. And during that visit, just fell in love with the area. So when I applied for graduate schools, UC Davis was one of the schools, as well as UC Riverside. And the interesting thing is, I was still not. I wasn't planning an entomology degree. I was actually applying to horticulture programs, but I had this interest of mine, and there was kind of a serendipitous misunderstanding that occurred. So in Florida, there's a group called the Florida Exotic Plant Pest Council. And the group considers whether horticultural plants may escape cultivation and become weeds. And that happens a lot in Florida. You know,
Yeah.
you can hike around and you see all of these plants that used to be, you know, nursery plants. And so when I wrote my statement of interest to all of these grad schools, I said I was interested in exotic plant pests. And because that made sense to me, you know, that's what we called these things. But there was a misinterpretation by an entomologist at UC Davis, Dr. Michael Perella, who has a long career working in greenhouse and floriculture IPM. And he got excited and wrote me back and said, "We work with exotic plant pests all the time in my lab. I have a project here you can work on whitefly parasitoids, aphid parasitoids. We have funding. Come on over." And so I guess I just jumped at that opportunity. I explained to him there was a misunderstanding, but I also explained that my interests were varied. And so I signed on because, he had funding for an assistantship, a research assistantship. And so that's how I started a master's degree at UC Davis. And again, that was in the horticulture program, even though I was working with an investigator in the entomology department. Over time, of course, I really cemented myself as an entomologist, in part because I realized there was a lot of competition and not as much opportunity in the horticulture space. Plants are, the concept of growing things is like way more romantic than, the concept of managing pests. But I absolutely became interested in the IPM process. And I think even though I was in that, horticulture and eventually agriculture world, I learned how to apply the IPM process to any kind of pest, whether it's, urban, structural, medical, even natural area. The process of IPM is so strong and adaptable to all these environments. So anyway, completed the PhD, and there's all kinds of cool stories about what I did during that PhD journey. But what's important for urban entomologists is, and for me in my career now, is that I graduated during the economic recession. So I graduated in 2009, and there were no jobs anywhere.
Yeah.
I took a postdoctoral research job, actually in a plant pathology department, because they had projects that involved insects. I was always working with insects. But I was applying for like 2 jobs a week, just desperate. And UC, the Division of Agriculture and Natural Resources, made a decision back then, working with UC IPM, that they wanted to start addressing urban pest issues. They didn't have any academics working in urban pest management, so they created a position in 2012, Urban IPM Advisor. And I saw that. I didn't even understand fully what it would be, but I applied. I got an interview. I did a lot of homework preparing for the interview. I tapped into, some of the urban entomology coursework I had, and I got the job.
Yay!
Yeah, and so then I really had to pivot and begin to focus on the trends, issues, and needs of the urban pest management sector, which has been awesome for me. And it was an area of need. Nobody was doing it, To this day, there's a lot of pest control operators that don't understand what I do because their industry does not have this history with land grant institutions, providing applied research and extension tools. So that was 13 years ago. Now we're recruiting for another urban IPM advisor in Sacramento.
I've seen that posted quite a few times.
IPM advisor in Santa Clara County, which will serve the Bay Area. So I think, and there are other institutions doing the same, using the land grant model to serve this industry. And I think it's awesome. It's long overdue. And I'm having fun every day.
I love it. So you've given us your journey now from basically Florida to California, no stops on the way. So you're
No,
now in California.
yeah, I've been in California now longer than I was in Florida, so I don't know if I can call myself a Florida man anymore,
A Floridian?
because I
Yeah.
moved to California when I was 26 years old, something like that. Yeah, anyway, um, I don't know if I'm Californian either, though.
I mean, you know what? I think as long as you're happy, that's all that matters. And for anybody listening, all those nerdy entomologists out there, Shell and I like to constantly remind you that this is a platform for you to come and listen and kind of figure out, maybe your path or your journey or which direction you want to go. Just like Andrew said, and just like Shell said, there is no direct line. You just have to basically take a chance. If you love bugs, there's so many opportunities out there. So this is such a good platform. And just like Andrew just said, right now I guess UC IPM is hiring for two different roles, and so there's always opportunities out there.
Yep, yep,
So,
and
I'm gonna
yeah, go
I'm
ahead,
gonna
Shell.
interrupt. So you said you graduated with your PhD in 2009. So
Yeah,
tell us a little bit about your journey to the BCE. When did you get it? How did you get it? What was your
yeah,
experience?
yeah. So, a member of my hiring committee was Dr. Bernard Lewis.
Hmm.
And I'm sure you guys know Bernard, a
I
big
do.
name in
Yeah.
termite research and urban entomology. He was the first black urban entomologist from UC Berkeley. Um, Very, very influential person in my life and an early mentor. But, when I was first hired, I didn't know him very well. He told me two things. One of which I did, and one of which I never did. So the first thing he said is, you need to get your BCE. And I had heard about the BCE program because I had been an ESA member since 2002 or 3. Um, and I was very active at ESA, but I never understood how the certification program could benefit me. And he explained that now that you're in extension serving this pest control industry, you're going to need to prove yourself quickly, you know. And a PhD doesn't necessarily mean much to practitioners.
Yeah.
It may mean something to your academic peers, but the practitioners want to know that you have practical knowledge. And so he said, as soon as you can, I want you. Oh, actually, it was included as a requirement in the
Mm,
job, is that the successful applicant or successful candidate would secure their BCE within 1 year after getting hired. And so Bernard was the one that explained why, and he told me the BCE is valued more than the PhD by your client base because it shows practical knowledge. It shows that you can apply this academic knowledge to the real world. And he was right. As soon as I achieved the BCE, and it was in urban and industrial entomology, which was what the requirement was, but then also since I had all of this horticultural IPM knowledge, I got certified in plant related as well. So
nice.
I maintain both of them as well, even though I don't work with plants anymore, unless they're dead and built into a structure, you know. So, Bernard said, get your BCE, and I did. But the other thing he told me to do was he said, you need to learn how to play golf because there's a
Oh,
lot of,
I hate golf. I hate it.
meetings that take place and
Ugh.
industry connections on the golf
Yes.
course. And I said, Dr. Lewis, nobody plays golf anymore. People still do. It's just
Oh
my
yeah.
my friend base, my community did not. I was a team sports guy, and the closest I ever got to golf was disc golf. I still play that. So anyway, if Bernard was listening, he would be reminded that I got my BCE, but I never learned how to play golf.
I just
one out of
committed.
two
I
at
just
bad.
Yeah, Andrew, I just committed to becoming what I call the beer bitch, right? I would drive around the cart and I would basically take people drinks, and if I was a vendor rep, I would just buy them drinks and give them to them, and everybody was happy. They love somebody being, the beer caddy. Obviously, if you're 21 or over, for anybody listening.
Yeah. Have you heard about, I guess it's called soccer golf, where they have these like really
Oh
big
yeah,
cups
yeah,
and
yeah.
you try to get the soccer ball in the cup with as few kicks as possible. That one's interesting to me, but I have to find a course that offers that.
Right. Or what was the one that became very popular? Ultimate Frisbee.
It's
Mm.
disc golf.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, disc golf. Yeah,
Yeah. I play
same
disc
thing.
golf. It's a lot of fun.
Love it, love it. So you told us about getting your BCE. Was it hard getting your BCE? Did you have to study a lot?
Um, I think because I was so freshly out of the academic environment, I was more prepared than if I were to take that exam today. And I didn't really have people in my network who could help me with the study
Preparing for it?
materials.
Yeah.
Bernard had some materials. Actually, I think it was Bob Davis with BASF. I met, way back then, and he shared some materials with me when I was studying. But the general entomology, I was fresh out of a PhD program where that was a big part. We had a big component of our qualifying exam at UC Davis was general entomology. It doesn't matter if you're a systematist or an ag entomologist or an ecologist. You had to take this general entomology qualifying exam, and it covers a lot of the same material as that core exam, the BCE core exam. So that one I think I was already prepared for, and I had to study for the urban and industrial specialty exam.
Hmm.
And of course, if you look at the study materials, you have all of these humongous books that you should buy. But since I got this job, I decided I needed to have those references anyway. So I either found or borrowed or purchased the books and treated it just like a course, and really studied the material. And it was really self-serving because it helped me to very quickly learn about kind of the entomological science behind the practices that were in place in the industry.
Yeah, that's awesome that it, you know, that as you've said, it significantly helped you with your customer base and, nothing against PhDs, you're great, but like you said, having that extra certification, which, gave you that kind of leg up on that. So, yeah, we talked to all our guests about what they think the advantage, any other advantages that you like about the BC that you've found in your career.
I think it's an incredible community, you
Mhm.
know, and you guys
Yes, we
understand that.
are.
Yeah, yeah, and I think pretty much every year since I've attained my BCE, I've connected with other BCEs at the ESA annual meeting. Over the years, we've had symposia that gathered together BCEs. We had a symposium for students where we basically did just what we're doing here is talk about the benefits of certification for young professionals. So yeah, I think that's a major thing, a major benefit. I was involved in the certification board for a while as well. I served as
Hmm.
president, and that was just incredible because I think the mission is really uplifting individual professionals, whether they have an academic background, a private sector background, government background. It doesn't matter. It's all about credentialing and positioning those peers for success in their industries. So I do believe in career development for all of us. Whether
Hmm.
you're young, old, whatever, it's never too late to learn something new, to credential yourself. It opens up possibilities and opportunities.
100%. Yeah. If you're not learning, you're not living. And just for everybody, a simple reminder for anybody listening, With the BCE, you have to have your degree in a biological science, right? And then you also have to have 3 years of practical experience before you can sit for the BCE. So I think you can kind of make those mix. So if you're like somebody like probably like the three of us who probably worked multiple jobs and went to school at the same time, you can definitely make those things kind of match together. But the reality is you still have to meet those minimum requirements to sit for the BCE. But come on and sit for it.
Yeah, I'll also say that I developed some study materials for the BCE core exam back in 2015. It was a project with the Entomological Society of America. At that time,
Nice.
they had a joint venture with the CDC to actually credential a lot of public health entomologists
I
with
remember
the
that.
BCE public health entomology specialty. And, public health entomology is not my specialty, but they all have to pass
Love it.
the core exam. So ESA retained me as an instructor for their core exam, and I recorded all of those sessions. And I have videos that I share with students all the time that help them to understand the material that's included in the core exam and the references that will really help them prepare. So I think I've helped, I don't know, two or three dozen BCE prospects with their core exam since then.
So now I just have to ask, where is this gold of, information sitting? Like, does ESA have it like on their site? Like, I've
It's on
never
my
even seen
computer.
this.
All
So
right, so we
It lives in the cloud.
contact Andrew.
so
Yeah,
how do we, and maybe it's something we can talk about offline, but how do we get your information available, that information available for these folks? You know what I mean?
Yeah, if you want to host it somewhere, I have basically video files. So I guess they're MP3 files. And then I also have PDFs of all the slides. So
Yeah, we definitely need
um,
to. We got to make this happen.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I have it on an external hard drive, and then I back everything up on the cloud. But I've never, hosted it on a website or anything like that. I just have the files, and I share them with people all the time.
Well,
Yeah,
we
we'll
will
definitely.
connect offline. Yeah, I will
Yeah, I was going to
happily
say
host it for
we'll
you.
we'll definitely get your contact information in the show notes so that people can reach out to you for that because yeah, that is just an amazing resource to have.
100%. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
agreed.
And then of course my involvement with the certification group led to some ACE training programs, and I know a lot of people do ACE training, and so whenever I do ACE training, I ask other people if they will share their resources. So right now I have this humongous folder of everybody's ACE training materials, and I share different parts of that with people as well.
Awesome sauce. Shell, I'm waiting for your favorite question. What's your favorite bug?
Yeah, okay, I've got an alternate question today. So,
Uh-oh.
prior to recording this, we were talking with Andrew, and it is Halloween today as we record this. So, Andrew, you said you had a 5-year-old daughter. What is she going for as Halloween this year?
Yeah, so even though she has entomological interest, she still is interested in, the whole world of Disney
Oh
and
yeah.
princesses and whatnot. So she's Tinkerbell this year,
Oh.
and that actually turned into a family costume. My wife always likes to do family costumes, so somebody has to be Captain Hook. But I don't have the hair for Captain Hook. My wife has this long, wavy, dark hair, so she's going to be Captain Hook. I'm Peter Pan. And so I actually will be wearing tights later tonight. And yeah, we put a lot of effort into our costumes, and we're going to be trick or treating as a family later tonight.
Cool.
I love
At
it.
least you didn't have to go as Wendy.
I could have, yeah, I look great in a dress. I could have made a good Wendy.
I can see that.
Blues was
Yeah.
my colors.
Oh my gosh. I love it. All right, well, what is your favorite bug? I just have to ask because we always ask everybody that.
Well,
Or your
I have
favorite
a
bug of
kind
the
of
week.
annoying response to
Yeah.
that. I don't do favorites. I don't have favorite music, favorite movie, favorite food. And because these are things that there's just so many good choices out there that
Yep.
I can't possibly pick a favorite. And the same goes for insects. There are so many really, really cool insects. Lately, one of my favorites has been snake flies.
Those are
I think
cool.
it's Rhapidoptera.
Those are
So,
so cool.
are you guys familiar with snake
They are
flies?
cool.
So in California, there's a pretty big species that is associated with crane fly larvae. So the snake fly larvae actually prey on the crane fly larvae. And so
Cool.
we have this mass emergence of crane flies, usually like February and March. And then the snake flies come out like 3 or 4 weeks after the crane flies. And so when the crane flies start flying, I start telling everybody, watch for the snake flies. And snake flies are amazing because they have this, long thorax that looks like a neck, and they're able to kind of move their head around and track you like a snake does. So yeah, I just think they're underappreciated in the insect world, and
Fair
they're
enough.
generally considered beneficial. They are predators as both larvae and adults. And some people consider crane flies to be pests of turf, like sports fields, especially in golf. It's a beneficial insect.
Anywho, we could sit here and talk all day. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. So, everybody, thank you so much for joining us all on the BCE podcast where there's no ifs, ands, or bugs about it. And everybody, have a good weekend. Happy Friday.
Bye, folks. Happy Halloween.
Bye.
They're buggy, they're nerdy, they're talking 6 legs, buzzing on the airwaves with their field note pegs. From beetles to bees, they just can't get enough. Geeking out on bugs, yeah, the nerdy stuff. Not for fame, not for clout, just because they care. It's the Bugcast, boys and girls, science in the air.